y'all. This is the 21 Minutes or Less podcast. And today we have a special guest. We have Davida. She's a wellness influencer. And Nikia's going to tell you a little bit more about her.
So, hey, Davida, I just wanted to say thank you for agreeing to speak with us today. Before we get started, can you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a serial entrepreneur. I moved to Atlanta to follow my dreams because this is a city where Black people are thriving. And I have a wig company called Hair Bakery Boutique. I specialize in custom wigs. I also have a nonprofit called Dear Deandra. I named after my sister who was killed from domestic violence. And then I also am a blogger, a wellness blogger. And as far as wellness, I take a 6 level approach to it as far as my values. So we talk about being secured mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, and financially. And from that blog, I created an audience called Secure Society, and we have a Secure Yourself magazine. So everything just coming together as far as Black empowerment, Black beauty, and these are some things that I struggled with in the past. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, especially with the loss of my sister. I'm also passionate about helping women um, get out of toxic relationships and into healthy relationships, even with themselves.
Wow, that's awesome. I did have a question when I was reading your bio.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I didn't know the exact situation with your sister, but you just mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know, like, what was your age gap? Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between you and your sister and how dealing with her domestic violence situation and her passing away? How
Mm-hmm.
did you cope with all that?
Well, she was 18 at the time. I was about 24, and she was my stepsister. So we were close, but not that close. Like, we didn't grow up in the same household, but at the end of the day, I was still her sister. And I remember the day like yesterday. I remember the call that I got because I kind of brushed it over when they said that she didn't come home that night. And I thought, because I know she's a little rebellious, so I figured she may not have wanted to come home, deal with my dad, because we had the same dad. Maybe she just wanted to take a break. So I texted her, and I didn't get a text back. So I was like, okay, maybe she didn't want to talk to anybody. And so I remember I went to the movies that night, and I remember I got like 6 text messages, somebody saying, I'm sorry for your loss. They found her. And I, at the time, like, it didn't register until I called my dad, who called me like 5 times. And, he was crying, saying they found her. She's gone. She's gone. And I remember I was driving because I saw the text and I started driving home. And that's why I called my dad. And I don't know why I did that, even though I saw the text. But that day was just the most traumatic day in my life because I never lost anybody like that. Especially the condition that they found her in. She was found face down on the ground by somebody walking the dog the next morning. And she was in love with this guy. And she actually had, bought him anything that he wanted. And for him to kill her and, take her money and try to buy a Michael Kors watch minutes after he killed her, it still doesn't register to me. And how I deal with it is I actually have been to counseling. I went to counseling right after it happened because as a victim, they provide counseling for you, but it didn't really work for me. So I kind of worked it out on my own through podcasts, through reading, through separating myself from toxic relationships and everything. And that's when I moved back home to really focus on my purpose as a person who had a criminal justice degree. Because at the time I was working at Victoria's Secret. And so that's when I went to law enforcement. But just the other day, I had a session with my therapist, and she was like, yeah, I see it's still bothering you because I'm not in a healthy relationship. Like, I still have trust issues. Any red flag that I see, I'm out.
Right.
Speaking of red flags, what are some red flags you look for before entering a relationship?
I would say ghosting. Like, if you're not consistent, you go ghost for like 3 days or a week. I'm not doing it. That means you're entertaining other people. Another red flag is how they are when they get mad, especially when we're in traffic and somebody cuts them off. How they react. I pay attention to that. Or if we go out to eat and the waiter brings something on the menu that he asks, kind of complicates the order. Let's see how he reacts. So anybody who's violent with their words is going to be violent with their actions. And then gaslighting, like, I don't know if you guys know that term, but it's basically when somebody try to downplay what is really going on. Like, you found out he's cheating on you and he said you're making it a big deal. It's not really that much of a big deal, like, and probably because you weren't talking to me, that's why I did it. So gaslighting, inconsistency, and then anger are key points when it comes to red flags for me.
Mm. And those are
Yeah,
some
those
really
are
good
some good
ones.
ones. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, exactly.
So, a question that I have for you would be, I know you talked about the six pillar approach to how you look at wellness.
Hmm.
So, what do you feel like is the most important aspect of those six pillars if you had to choose one?
Ooh. Mm. I would have to say mental.
Mm,
Mental, because that relates to your ability to get closer to God, to be closer with your spirit, your sexuality, and in relationships, with your finances. Your head has to be on point in order for those five levels to be secured. So you mental, getting that counseling, talking to people who can really identify those blind spots that you have. Yeah, that's the most important, because I know some people who are like really good financial experts, they're in good relationships, but their head, like, yeah, it's definitely mental.
So, what do you look for in healthy friendships? I did a little stalking on your Insta. I seen you have like a lot of beautiful black women friends. So, like,
Yeah.
what do you look for in those women friends?
Thank you. So basically, support,
Mm,
support, support, support. It's like, if they don't support it, then they're not a friend. And that doesn't mean you have to buy from me. That's liking a post. That's sharing my stuff. Telling somebody that, she's good at what she does. Go, go support her. Stuff like that. That's what I pay attention to. And also, consistency with communication. Me and my friends, we talk about once a week because we're so busy. All of us are business owners, even if they don't have like a whole LLC and everything. Just blogging is a business, and we're all doing something, and I empower them to do that. So I kind of check in with them, see how they're doing with their business and everything, and they check in with me. And I remember one of my friends, she texted me, was like, "Hey girl, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." She's like, "No, how are you doing, like, for real, with everything going on?" I said, "You know what? You're right. I didn't even think about that. I am having a little trouble with this, with this area." She's like, "Hey, let's talk about it." So stuff like that is what I really focus on when it comes to genuine friendships. Not somebody who's like, "Hey girl, let's go out to party. Let's go do this." You know what I'm saying? No, let's chill. Let's grow. Then
right.
we go out to party. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people in your corner. Well, I'm sorry. I wrote this blog. It was like, you got people in your circle and in your corner. The people in your corner are going to hold you down. Those are the people that's your friends, like your sisters. But the
Hmm.
people in your circle, those are people who, you kind of keep close just in case you have an event, you're willing to pull up to it, whatever. But those aren't the people who you tell your business to.
Right.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had following that, I had a question as far as like being consistent with everything. You have a blog, you wrote a book,
Mm-hmm.
um, you said your friends. Like, how do you stay consistent? How do you manage your time with all that you have going on?
Really just planning at night. Sometimes it's about like 2 o'clock and I'm writing my schedule for the next day. And I should get better at that, doing it on Sundays. Like, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of the week. But it's just, as the week goes, I'm getting thrown opportunities and I love it. So I kind of just plan my day the night before. And I
Hmm.
always make sure I have an hour of self-care, no matter what, whether it's just like meditation or treating myself out to eat, something that's self-care. That's what keeps me motivated.
Okay.
Okay. How has COVID-19 impacted you on a personal and business level?
Girl, that's why I said being mentally secure is most important, because when COVID-19 occurred, like, I was working beforehand, I was working at Marriott in the concierge lounge, and I was, just connecting with the VIP members, really networking. Like, I was using that job to my full ability. So when I got laid off, that really gave me the opportunity to take my business seriously, because I wasn't even approved for unemployment. So I'm like, dang, how am I eat? like literally eat because you know like essential runs. You had to go to the grocery store. So that's when I used my stimulus check and purchased a new hair vendor for my business. I started promoting differently. And my sales went from like 0 to about like 12 in 1 week. Like the post guy was like, whoa, what's going on? You like a sale or something? I'm like, I know, right? Like just chill. Let me do what I gotta do. But before that, like it was a little hard, like getting laid off. I asked you remember like we had our book signing I had to reschedule that, and then I actually had to cancel that because of COVID, like, you know, social distancing and the limit of people. I had to cancel that. And then also another thing I had to cancel was my Dear Deandra, my nonprofit event. We had a self-defense class. I had to cancel that too and refund money. So imagine getting laid off and have to give people their money back. That was a struggle. I also had my first paid speaking gig out of town. Like I was about to get flued out. And we had to cancel that too. And then I also got invited to be an audience member for Black Women Own the Conversation. You know, it was like it's a partnership with Oprah's network. Like I also
Yes,
had
yes.
that also got pushed back. So it was a lot weighing down on me. But I used that as momentum to really push for my hair business and also for Secure Society. Because I created this magazine during COVID-19. I never would have thought I was gonna create a magazine. And now we got 3 issues out. We got one coming out on Sunday, and I'm so excited because it's making an impact.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about your magazine and your book?
Okay, so the book is called How I Turn My Misery into My Ministry. So it taps into the trauma I faced as a child. You know, seeing my mother get abused by my dad and then him abusing my stepmom, and then, you know, how it kind of affected my relationships with men, and then losing my sister. And then I was also in toxic relationships after losing her. And so when I was in a toxic relationship, I was trying to build my business, and that was like the worst situation. Like, you know, you can't really build a business while you're in a toxic relationship, even in a
Mm.
toxic work environment, because I was still working while building my business, and I wasn't secure mentally, and I actually had to kind of mess up a $20,000 loan for opening a salon because I wasn't emotionally together. I always let him get in my head and tell me I wasn't worth it. So I give like a step-by-step guideline how I stepped out of that misery into my ministry of building my nonprofit, of empowering women through wigs, because wigs are like an instant, you know what I'm saying, instant
Yes.
slay. You ain't got to sit in the salon for hours, you know, get that wig, pop it on, you get to go. And then me moving out here. So it's just been a lot that's in my journey that's in that book. And I also give a step-by-step guide on how to grow your business organically through social media in that book. It's like, this is what I did, and this is how you're going to do it too. And then the magazine really focuses on each level of security. So like our first level was financial security. We featured Daisha Kennedy. She's on Instagram as the Broke Black Girl, and she's a financial coach. And like she is like, sis is goals when it comes to money management. So we featured her, and then the month that we featured it was last month was Mental Awareness Month. I didn't even know that either. And we had a Black therapist talking about mental health awareness for you know, for Black people. And then this month is about physical security. And we're featuring a girl who lost about 219 pounds, and she's on the cover of People magazine to this day. Like if you go in Publix, you'll see her. And I think being physically secure is really important, especially for us Black people right now with everything going on. We need to own our beauty and our Blackness and just amplify our melanated voices. So that's where this physical security magazine is going to come into, just being confident in your skin. Even if you are overweight, still own your beauty. So that's what this is going to be about, and I'm excited.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely like those. The book and the
Mm-hmm.
magazine. And so how do you maintain I guess the societal pressures of being like a black female influencer for hair and wellness and mental health on social media in today's times?
As far as dealing with the pressures, I really analyze my captions. so that way I'm not too
Mm.
opinionated, but at the same time I get my voice across without offending people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I always get like two reviews on my captions and on my blogs, so that way I'm not offending people nor the brands that I want to work with. Um, and then, like I said, with self-care, with the therapy, and just praying to God also. That's I listen to him, talk to him, listen to him every morning. I talk to him about like 10 minutes every night. I get on my knees and pray for another 10 minutes and listen to him, and he tells me what to do. I say, God, prepare me for tomorrow, prepare me to say and do the right thing so that I can do everything in your will, and it usually works out.
Got
That
you.
is amazing. Because this COVID 19
Lord,
definitely got
yes.
me praying a little bit harder,
Mm-hmm.
got me, in my Bible a little bit more.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think spirituality really does play a big effect on your
Mm-hmm.
mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's good that you have that, I guess, that backing.
Yes. It's so important. It's so necessary. And I can.
So my last
Mhm,
question, just to, get your opinion on it, as a law enforcement officer in the
mhm.
past and, someone who has a criminal justice major, like, what do you think about all this, the injustice towards Black people, the more recent riots and protests that have been sparked? Just what's your whole take on it? I know it's really stressful right now
Mhm.
to be Black in America, but like, what do you think about that from someone who's been on the other side as a law enforcement officer?
Okay, from the law enforcement perspective,
Mm-hmm.
um, I say I know that it's very stressful. It's very stressful, especially being a Black officer, because just being Black without even the with what's going on, I face a lot of I don't know if it would be racism, but a lot of disrespect from because I was a corrections officer, and I remember getting disrespected and talked down by the Black inmates, saying that I'm working for the master. I ain't ish, giving me everything that's negative, and so I know with officers right now, with what's going on, it can be worse. So speaking from my experience, I know that it's very important that officers must take care of their mental health because we see trauma every day. I saw um people can try to commit suicide. I saw like the worst of some of humanity. I had to respond to grown men fighting and everything like that, and it can be very stressful mentally, especially as a Black person. Like, what's going on, what's wrong, but as a law enforcement officer you still have to do what you're supposed to do, and sometimes your voice cannot be heard. So it's a little struggle, and that's another reason why I quit, because I just didn't feel like I could make a change in the way that I could in my capacity. So I felt like with my nonprofit, I could create change for domestic violence. Um, but it is scary. It's scary. Like, even like my tag
Definitely.
expired the other day. I didn't even realize it. I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, please. And I have a gun. I'm like, Lord, please don't let me get pulled over. But I know what to do. And I always tell people that no matter what the officer does, um, be calm. Just be calm as ever. Like, you high. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure that if even if they're like kind of infringing upon your rights, still do what they say. If they say step out of the car and let me see your license or registration, give it to them, even if you know they're wrong. Because at the end of the day, if you get any hype, if you do anything, they can take it to the next level and point the fingers at you. So I tell
Right.
people, just be calm from both levels, from the civilians to the law enforcement. Just do what you can to get home at the end of the day.
Wow. Well, thank you so
Mhm.
much, just for being on this episode, for voicing your opinions on everything, and for being so open and honest with us.
Yeah.
Please tell our listeners where to find you on all your social media or your blog or whatever you
Okay,
got.
okay. Thank you guys for having me. So everyone can follow me at Davida's Diary. That's my name, Davidas Diary. That's my wellness influencer platform. And then if you want a wig, I got you. My brand is called Instagram Hair Bakery Boutique LLC, where all wigs are baked with love. And then my nonprofit organization is Dear Deandra, DearDeanndra. And the magazine also, like, I know I got a lot of Instagram handles, but I'm sure somebody will relate to one of them at least. The magazine is Secure Yourself Magazine. That's it. We just created it 2 days ago, me and my team. So
Oh,
I'm so
wow.
excited, and I want to meet everybody who's listening. And I appreciate you guys for having me once again.
Well,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much.
You're welcome.
All
You guys
right.
stay safe.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe out
Yes,
here.
thank you.
And yeah,
You
stay safe.
too. Have a good one,
And
guys. Bye.
bye.
All right, everyone. So you just talked to Davida. We are about to close out this episode.
All right, y'all know where to follow us. Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, 21 minutes or less. Type in 21 minutes or less podcast on YouTube and go ahead and follow our personal pages. Mine is Keisha Milana.
Mine is Riz Monet.
And mine is Miss Butterfly 21.
All right, we'll see y'all on the next episode.